You listed the characteristics of
King Baby.
the King Baby. As you were listing those characteristics, I'm like, damn, are all black men like that? If, the studies state, and based off what you said, what conversations you've had with, your friend circle, if most black men suffer from this King Baby syndrome and all of those characteristics that you named that are associated with this syndrome, then it just sounds like to me, black men are just a-holes. Like, that's just what it sounds like.
They're cheating on these women that they profess to care for. Then, they are being.
No, I agree. But see, there's a difference between acting like an a-hole and being a-hole. Sometimes online when guys can get a little snippy, I'll be like, man, you acting like a B. And they'll be like, you calling me a B? And I'm like, no, I said you're acting like one. I didn't call you one. If I would call you one, then I say you are a bitch. But I'm saying in this instance, you're acting like one. So we all have our moments where we can act a-hole-ish. But just based off that definition of what a King Baby is, it basically insinuates that the vast majority of black men are a-holes. I just think that not all the time that men are displaying all of those characteristics as character flaws. Okay, for an example, it's like, it's not you, it's me, right? So we don't want to hurt the person that we actually do love because we do care for their feelings. So we choose to lie. In all reality, as much as women may not believe this, sometimes you do lie to protect people's feelings. And in situations like that, I can see how a good percentage of those men, they may lie because they don't want to hurt the person that they love, because they know the person that they love may not be able to handle the truth and they don't want to lose that person. Now, I know there are some a-holes out there that are just flat out a-holes. I know they do exist, but I don't think that the entirety of black men that have cheated are doing it because they are a-holes.
I agree with you, and I'm not saying that all are. We need to commit on both sides, men and women, that at the start of something, that we're honest with what it is that we want out of the situation. And if you know that you have inclinations, if you know you're not ready to be monogamous, then be upfront with it and let the other person know what you're about so that they can make an informed decision before there's much at stake. Because I understand, if you have years into the relationship and then, you decide to look around and, you decide to step out, what have you, then it's a difficult thing to change up on somebody when you said, well, this is who I am, this is what I'm committed to be, and then all of a sudden you're switching up the rules. So let's get into the habit of having these conversations as first dates.
Some women can handle that honesty and some women can't. It just so happens that men are attracted to both of those types of women. So they are very much honest with the women who can accept that, because that is something that a woman is going to cue to first of all. In just speaking to a person for half an hour, if it even takes that long, a brother will know right away if this woman is the type of woman that can handle that honesty or not. And a brother can say to this woman, well, I got a girl already. But if you want to hang out, you want to have some fun, you still want to take it a certain place. There are some women that are more than willing to have those honest conversations with men. And how do you think black men cheat? Because there are women that are willing to have that understanding and deal with that reality. Whereas it just so happens that there are a group of women, and I would say, Jay, I don't know what the percentages are. I don't know what the percentages of women that can handle the honesty versus the percentage of women that can't handle the honesty. Some women that can handle the honesty are sometimes the first wife, and they put up with a lifetime of their husband stepping out on them and not knowing his other girlfriends or some of his other women that he with don't know that he's married. And then there's just as many cases where the wife that the man has doesn't know that he's stepping out. So I don't know those percentages. I've never looked into them, but I just want to make it very clear. We're talking about two different groups of people. There's a group of women that are honest and can handle those honest conversations. And there's a group of women that can't handle that honesty. And men are able to pick up on that information within 15 minutes. And I know I just cut that half an hour in half. Mm-hmm. Men are able to pick up on this information within 7.5 minutes of speaking with, like within 3 minutes and 15 seconds of speaking with the girl. A man can tell within like a minute and a half that a girl can put up with this reality of that. So like within 45 seconds of talking to somebody, I would know if this person can deal with this reality or not.
I don't know about this first date.
It's like isotope half-lives you're going on right now. What?
Loon, this first date thing, people change years later. I mean, you know, this whole first notion of first dates, you're discussing what you want in terms of being monogamous or having open relationship or polyamory or whatever you want. People change in the course of their relationships. I don't think just because you say I'm monogamous, now I have to stick with that for 30 years.
Err on the side of caution and say, you know what? I don't think I'm ready to settle down with one person. I think that I'm still shopping around, whatever language you want to use. And then if you find yourself catching one-itis, then you're good. But then if you don't, then you already put that person on notice. And then there's no line. You know, you can tell them, you know, when something happens, something pops off. Hey, I told you this is what I'm about right now. And ready. Go ahead.
You mean to tell me if I said, yeah, I like monogamy right now, but I just so you know, on the buffet of relationships, there could be polyamory and I could want, you know, maybe probably 2 other girlfriends down the road. You cool with that?
I mean, have you ever tried to have such a conversation?
Heck no.
I've had those conversations.
From the first date? No.
Within the first 12.5 seconds of meeting somebody, I can tell, usually within like 7.5 seconds, Jay.
Oh, you don't even have to say anything. Nothing has to come out of their mouth.
You can tell. There are 2 different types of women. There are women that are very comfortable with reality, and there are women that are not comfortable with reality. There are women that will approach married men. They're out there, and they can deal with reality. And being a Sunday church-going Christian isn't a disqualifier for where these women are.
No.
And being in a library or a bar or whatever, it's just there are women that know that those social contracts are not applicable to every spectrum of African-American women in the United States. However, it's incumbent upon the man, if he wants his life to run smoothly, to try to keep everyone happy. And this is where I believe the invention of lying came from. You can't just credit that to infidelity. I think the invention of lying came from, well, I'm going to try to keep everybody happy, because you can't keep everybody happy. You're going to have to tell somebody something.
Well, the invention of lying came from wanting to keep everybody happy because you fear loss. Yeah. So it's fear. Absolutely. Men, shed your fear. Shed your fear of breaking up.
Of losing everything and half your money? Sorry.
So you're not just losing a girlfriend. You may be losing a wife. And first of all, this is a recent fear. I would say this is a fear after coming in contact, particularly with European pathology. Because if we were living in our natural state, these conversations are a lot more easygoing.
So let's return to our natural state and have these conversations in an easy manner.
The natural state is not monogamous, right?
Not every woman, again, is prepared for that. Some women are returning to that natural state at a faster rate than other women. And there's some women that are still left over in the population that aren't ready to have those conversations. Should men leave them single?
If they can't engage and be honest with one another, why create a situation where you can potentially cause great harm?
The procreation piece is more important than the lie.
And I didn't do that aspect of the research. The majority of these relationships that are being had nowadays aren't resulting in life.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out because I'm not talking about play. This stuff that I'm talking about, I'm not talking about, I'm going to the club and I'm going to meet somebody and hang out, have this one. I'm not throwing away my life over something like that. We're talking about hopefully let's elevate the conversation to the level of a man is stepping out because he wants to follow his urge to procreate. And I understand that that's not the case with everyone, but the cases that are not that, I'm classifying as play. People can have arguments with that all they want. But if you're stepping out on a person and keeping them in a fairy tale world, and at the end of the day, it's just about you wanting to be inside of another woman for fun and for your own ego and for your own pleasure, then I'm classifying that as play, and we can have that in another conversation.
That's part of this conversation because because depending on the stage in life that this male is in, it could be that he has not identified that the reason why he's having these urges is because he wants to procreate.
Well, I was talking about Denzel Washington in Fences when he brought home the baby and he was like, this the baby. And the baby mama dead. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, what these rappers that call themselves rappers is doing. I'm talking about this is a baby. The baby mama, she died. She's dead. She's no more. And then I'm talking about now the wife is like,
now it's time for you to die.
Well, the wife the wife said, I'm gonna keep this family together though. She was ready to have that conversation. She was ready to deal with that reality, right? But there's some women that throw their hands up, whoa, and then throw everybody out, throw the baby on the street and everything. But they're not ready to have that kind with the baby, the bathwater, the husband, the baby, everything, right? So I was all the way at Fences. I wasn't at Trap. I'm not talking about this idea that at home I'm this good husband, but then I get these weekend passes and I'm a rapper.
Let me ask you this, F. Again, from a scientific standpoint, you and Shaba have been together for 23 years. So if a conversation like this came up right now, how would you propose Shaba to introduce that conversation to you? Being that you guys started your relationship in the monogamous Christianity, social construct, and then 23 years in the game, how would you propose a man to bring that conversation forth in a manner to where the first reaction, and it's probably still going to be the first reaction, is, oh, you just want another BITCA, that whole thing that, most women will probably do. How do you propose a man to get a woman to understand that's not what it's about?
I've been advocating honesty and respect this whole conversation. In Shaba Kojo approaching me to let me know what his inclinations, his urges are, that to me would be a sign of respect. That he would rather me know and be in an informed place where he is. That he is willing to give me insight into what it is that he's going through. Yes, I believe that I would have that initial reaction that you're describing. But it's also for me to elevate myself and operate on a higher level and understand that he is not of the same nature that I am, and try to understand who he is and what it is that he's trying to exercise, whatever it is that his biology is calling him to do. And to have an honest conversation. It may not be one conversation, but multiple conversations to better understand what is happening, in his mind, with his body, and see how we can proceed as a unified force so that he can realize what his human instincts are. So it may be something that happens over a gradual time. And then it's a conversation that I believe that should happen outside of the bedroom, where you guys are just saying, oh, it's not something that you just, that you just bring up or what. Yeah, it is. Just like you say, well, you know what, I think I'm going to go to the doctor because I feel this or what have you. You know what, I've been feeling this way. And how do you feel about that? Just testing the waters and introducing certain ideas and concepts. But it's something that definitely needs to occur. And if you decide that you're going to walk a life, you're going to sojourn with someone, they need to understand what's happening. And as I said, I don't think that the gravity of the level of endangerment that occurs when a man makes such a decision, I think that is falling on deaf ears, that it's enough to drive somebody crazy, to pull the rug out from underneath them, to completely shake their reality, where you think that you're living a particular life and you have a certain foundation, and just to find out that what you thought isn't so. It shakes you at your core.
So it wouldn't shake you at your core if your partner has that conversation with you, even though the act hasn't been done, but it's preempting the act by sharing what you're feeling. Wouldn't it still be pulling the rug from under you because you thought it was all good?
Hearing a hard fact, yes, it can shake you at your core, but not to the same gravity of being betrayed.
Well, then this is what I propose. The first thing that we're going to do is we have to get out of the paradigm of European imposed monogamy. And that has to be done across the board. And I think that we need to acknowledge what our natures are from birth within our communities. And then we need to make decisions as to where we are going to place ourselves. So if our nature as men is to seek to couple up with multiple people, then there needs to be an entire area of our society that's okay with that. If there are still some people that just want to deal with monogamy alone, then there needs to be an area of our societies that deal with that. And those things need to be identified, just like you have name, first name, last name, age, relationship, preference. It should be on your driver's license then. That way we can cut down this 5.5 second interview that I have to have with people to more like a second. Can I see your driver's license? Okay, your driver's license says that you are monogamy only, so I know to keep it moving. And then you'll be like, oh, well, I may be monogamy. So let me see your driver's license. No, this has a P on it. This is not an M. This is something other than an M. This doesn't mean monogamy. I don't know what you're into, but it's not an M. So therefore, we don't match. We don't need to use the government system to implement that, but apparently we need to implement that amongst people in our societies, because this is just to protect our society.
Right.
So I'm not concerned with what other people use to protect their society, but to assume that everyone is for monogamy, which is the assumption that we currently live under when we speak about relationships, is imposed on us incorrectly. And it's a fantasy.
I agree.
Because it goes against the nature of natural alkebulan men.
I agree that in our community, based on my personal observation, that the majority of alkebulan males have that inclination. But let's not make a blanketed statement. There are many men that are satisfied, that meet one woman and they say this is it, and they don't have that issue. So I don't want to make a blanketed statement to say that we all have this problem. However, there are too many of us that do, because our families are reflecting it in that they are broken. And it's because there is an insecurity that is created in the relationship on the woman's side as a result of these occurrences.
So we need a new way of assuming relation. We need relationship licenses. How will we append that on to the identification that we carry right now?
I'm not proposing having anything set in stone.
No, because people lie now.
Okay.
What if you have an M on your license, and I'm like, but you dope, I'm an M too. Where's your license? I left it at home. Come on now. You need to see it. You need to see that there's a P there so that you can say, well, this ain't an M. So you're not even in the pool. You're in the wrong pool.
Let's go on our word. And
but
let the word.
Where's that been getting us so far?
That's what got us here right now.
If I don't have anything else to go on, let's assume P.
I think that if we change the assumption from monogamy to polygyny or polyandry or polyamory at the jump, this will clear up a lot more things. I think it's easier to get to monogamy having gone through all those other stages first.
And perhaps that's a natural course that we have been taken off of. And so, I wanted this conversation to visit that as an option that we're overlooking because we're destroying each other otherwise, going in this other direction that we've found ourselves in.
But now all we're doing is changing an assumption.
Right.
But we're not changing an assumption on the man's part. We're changing an assumption on the woman's part.
Yeah, we're changing the assumption that a man is going to be monogamous, that he's presenting himself as monogamous. It's basically he's poly until proven otherwise.
Now, where are you going to peddle this stuff?
All over the interwebs.
I hear you, man.
Jay.
Does the same apply to the woman?
Yes, it applies on both sides. Whereas, and this is generally speaking, men have an inclination to display polyandry or non-monogamistic tendencies and behaviors. And women, on the flip side, majority speaking, tend to have monogamistic tendencies. It's not to say that all women do. You know, some women are fine to have multiple partners. So we're not going to pigeonhole anybody. And so we're going to go on individual conversations and interactions to figure out. But always on the first assumption is that there are others until it can be confirmed otherwise.
But that is always the first assumption when you meet somebody.
You're dating other people
single,
trying to get
single and ready to mingle. Woohoo, you know? Single doesn't just come with, oh, thou art has never and has not shalt since. Like, single means that you got options.
But people go on dates and they start dating saying, well, I'm not seeing anybody right now. And then that's not necessarily the case.
I don't even know why I brought that up. All I'm saying is that's a prerogative issue. All that doesn't matter. All I'm saying is, at this point, the way to end cheating is by removing the stigma.
No, it's not about removing the stigma. Yeah, it's about not cheating. It's about if you're upfront with it and you are letting everybody know that's involved, that there are other parties that they need to be aware of, then it's not cheating. It's being forthcoming. And that's not stigma. Stigma is, well, I'm going to continue to behave like this, carry on in the dark. When I say in the dark, with other parties being unaware, but now it's okay. And in certain circles, the stigma is removed. And I think that what you said about women playing a role, of course, you know, men can't cheat without a woman participating as sisters and mothers and what have you. I think that we perpetuate it because we don't hold our sons and our brothers to these higher standards, but we do to our mate.
I just told you there's an unstoppable force. You can't stop the sexual force. The minute that you can stop the sexual force, then you can get into, you know, ending life as we know it. So I'm
not trying to stop the unstoppable force.
And women who, for some reason, put themselves at the top of the so-called food chain or the top of the so-called intellectual chain, we are still subject to those forces.
And let the force be with you, men. But be honest that the force is with you. And that is what's guiding you.
But I'm telling you right now, the forces are with us.
Okay, like, look, okay.
But they've always been. But now you have a group of dishonest men that say, well, monogamy is the best form of relation. Those were the people that ruined the stuff to begin with.
Sometimes you don't have time to be honest.
Expound on that, please.
In this situation.
It's just one look and everybody's ready to go and there's no need to discuss anything. What you mean by you don't have time to be honest?
So there are certain situations where the attraction is so powerful that number one, your mind is taken over. And two, you won't have the opportunity later. So now you have to choose between having that opportunity, which we won't be able to get back, and then waiting to have some long conversation or multiple conversations when the opportunity is gone.
And perhaps with that particular engagement, you feel like there's no time for honesty to have a quick conversation about what the intentions are.
You can be honest after the fact.
I'm going to raise my brow on that. What about the other party that has been there, that you've had more than enough time to offer insight as to what your intentions are, you know, what your inclinations and your desires are? You've had more than enough time to let that person know, okay, this is the direction you're going. And that's the person at that point that really matters, because that's the person that's going to get hurt by that situation where you felt like you didn't have enough time to have an honest conversation.
I don't know if you're scoffing at the fact that you think in certain situations men can control themselves, but there are certain situations where you can be honest after the fact, but the opportunity presents itself, you're going to take advantage of the opportunity.
Heka?
Yes, ma'am.
I thought this episode was Black Men Don't Cheat.
It's black man.
It's a parody.
It's black men, comma, don't cheat. It is a command. It is a command. Black men don't cheat. It's not worth it. It does too much harm. It goes beyond that one act. Don't do it.
No, it should be black men don't lie.
Okay.
I said it earlier, Ev. I agree with you 1,000%. There was a time where all we had was our word, right? We went by, that's what you said you was going to do, and that's what you have to do. My name, loosely translated, Heka Mayat Kemet, African man of God, who said his way of life is turning his words into action. My goal, with that name is to be the person when I tell you I'm going to do something, then that's my directive, is to do what I told you I was going to do. Now, obviously, it doesn't work out like that every single time, but the goal is to be known as a man of honor your word. So I agree with you 1,000%. Where it gets cloudy is a lot of us don't understand that biological urge, that is there. And because we are fighting against that to prove to a society that is not our cultural matrix, as Mama Makeda likes to say, and because we don't understand that, I think we get ourselves in trouble from a good intentional standpoint. And, this is why I asked the question later for the brothers that do become aware, like, man, I am not strange. I am not weird. This is something that all men, I'm going to say, suffer from the, just for the sake of this conversation, because we spoke about the pathology and the disease, but it's really not, we don't suffer from anything. This is something that the Creator has put in us. So it's not a disease, but the few fellas, I'm going to say the few, only because if it wasn't a very small percentage of men that at some point understand, what their body is going through, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But for the few fellas that do come to the understanding of, what's going on and that have that sense of responsibility and honor, then those are the few guys that will have that truthful conversation. The vast majority of them, and when I say them, I'm talking about brothers that just don't understand, where do they start? How do the small percentage of brothers that do understand get those brothers to a point where it's like, look, this is who you are as a man, but don't abuse it. Don't abuse that gift, that the Creator has given us. You made a commitment to this person. Now it's your job to be honest with where you are in life, like we spoke about. But then again, it's like, oh, yeah, that's not a good look, because obviously most women, and obviously we're talking about black women, most black women are just, because of social engineering, are just not, they don't want to hear it. They just, it's not an easy conversation that's not an easy conversation to have. And besides the fact that if we're being real again, especially on certain subject matter, most black women, they have a way with their words to make you feel like, yo, like what, like what the F are you talking about right now? Like, get out of here with that. Like, it's not even a conversation that they're willing to open up and have. I'm trying to put it in the most PG rated way I can. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. The name of my company is The pH Company, exactly for what it is, potential hydrogen. The products that we make are mouthwash, toothpaste, and deodorant, and other ancillary products that complement those three categories. Of course, natural in the sense that there's no synthetic chemicals that have long scientific names, all consonants. If you guys are into those kind of products, we believe everybody should be. Reach out to us. Our Instagram is @the-pH Company. Our Facebook is @the-pH Company. Our website is shopthephcompany.com. You can email us at thephcompanyinfo@gmail.com. You can reach out to us with any questions. Mouthwash, toothpaste, deodorant. We will be the largest Black-owned toothpaste, oral hygiene, deodorant, armpit hygiene company in the world. That is our goal.
So we are Shule Inc. on IG, Shule Inc. on Twitter, Shule Inc. on Facebook. You can always email us at info@kujenga.fm. You can visit our website kujenga.fm. That's KUJENGA.FM, like your radio frequency. On behalf of Kujenga, you want to say the tagline?
Kujenga Taifa Leo.